another fine and glorious day working on this Trans Am. I've been working on this project for quite some time now, and it has really been kicking my butt. This project's had a rough running issue for a while, and since it sat, we started with the basics. Give it a tune-up, plugs, plug wires, cap, rotor. All the normal stuff that tends to weed out a lot of the intermittent problems. Unfortunately, that didn't cure it. So, after much tinkering, we said, well, it's not idling. Let's go ahead and I sourced a idle air bypass controller, replaced that. We went and swapped out, so after the idle air bypass controller, it wasn't running right. Still, wouldn't idle all over the map. So I said, okay, well let's go and recheck the timing, which no one had disturbed it, so it should be fine. But I reset it anyway, right back to factory zero. Then I took and reset the throttle position sensor, which took a little fiddling and a little learning, because I've never done that on one of these before. So got that set, and it was still running lean, like pretty much all the time when it was cold, which didn't make any sense. So the next thing I did is I started going through and checking sensors. The mass airflow sensor was the first thing I checked. It had zero effect on how the engine was running. So then I disconnected the oxygen sensor, and as soon as I did that, it gave me an ignition misfire code. So okay, well, we've eliminated one thing because it still didn't run any better. It ran exactly the same with the oxygen sensor disconnected, so that was probably not the source. But then I went and checked for a misfire, or checked the voltage distributor part. It had a broken rotor, brand new rotor broken, and the ignition module was a little suspect too, so replaced that as well. That still didn't cure it. It ran a lot better when it was warm, but it still wouldn't run when it was cold. So, getting down to it, I'm running out of things to check. There's only so many sensors. I disconnected the cold air, or the cold fuel valve, and that didn't have any effect other than it took a little more time cranking, but it wouldn't run any better with it disconnected, so I didn't think that was the issue. Disconnected the EGR valve. That didn't have much of an effect either. So, it's just getting more and more frustrating as I'm going through this. And one of the symptoms was when it was cold, it would turn on the electric cooling fan, which is kind of odd because that's the computer-controlled fan, and it only should come on under basically two situations. Either the engine's is at full operating temperature, it needs to be cooled off a little bit, or there's something wrong with the sensor or the system. So, sourced a sensor, the new coolant temperature sensor, and put it in there. Car started, ran beautifully, idled really nice, and then came today. So I went to verify that everything was still good, and this is the problem with this car that we've been struggling with, which is why I've had it for almost 2 weeks now, is you fiddle with it seems to be fixed. You go to check it the next day, it's not fixed. Chasing down something is just, this has been so frustrating. But anyway, so I'm out driving it, and it drives pretty good. It pulls pretty good. Out in the middle of nowhere right now. But yeah, the car drives good. It's holding temp nice. But I bet you tomorrow morning when I start it, it won't idle again. And it's got a brand new temp sensor. Though I'm going to have to go check my ohm readings because I tested it while it was still cold, and it was around 5,000 ohms. So I'm thinking that's a little high for this. I'm going to have to go double check the chart. But it could be possible we got a bad sensor right out of the box. Been in the car for less than 24 hours, which would just irk me all up one side and down the other. So anyway, I'm going to get this car turned around, head home, and we will continue the project. I'm going to show you how we got here up until now, and then hopefully, at some point I'll be able to set up the cameras and do a nice test drive where it just starts, idles good, and drives down the road, because this car is not leaving my possession until it does so. Well, this is the next day. We've let it cool off all overnight. This is when the car was most bitchy, before, when it was all the way cold. So this would be a good telling of whether it's fixed or not. Still a little unhappy. Well, in case you hadn't heard, this poor bird is having a rough time of things. So first thing we're going to do is disconnect, I believe it's this wire. It's the computer control wire for, oh no, wait a minute, it's this one. That's the puppy right there. Okay. So this is a computer control wire for the Spark Advance. And then we're going to set the base timing, because I'm sure it's not right. And then we're going to go through and check every single vacuum line. Make sure everything is exactly as it should be. And reset a bunch of stuff. And this is going to be one of them projects that you just keep tinkering with till you get it. But yeah, these vacuum lines have definitely seen better days. I got a whole spool of line to replace it with. Yeah, and hopefully by the time we're done, this will just purr like a kitten. Anyway, that's what we got going. One of the little things I noticed is somehow the last person put a master cylinder on this. Looks like they got a zip tie caught underneath it. So we're going to loosen the master cylinder up and remove that. Hopefully, if there's a leak in this booster at all, we don't want it to be leaking air in there. So I'll take care of that. And then we're going to just go through every one of the vacuum lines one by one. Alright, so timing mark is way down in that little hole down there. But we can't see anything, but I'll show it to you anyway. Yeah, it's just hiding back behind everything. Hello. Welcome. Today is a good day. We finally getting rid of the Trans Am project. It's had its twists and turns. Ultimately, what was happening, or what I believe was happening, was the reference voltage for the computer was messed up. It had it was doing it's supposed to be 5 volts, and by the time you run the voltage drop through the sensor, it works out to like 2.5 when you're just monitoring the voltage. And you know, it'd be like 2.6 when it was all the way cold, and then it'd do like 2.5, then 2.4, and then it would climb back up to back to about 2.5, you know, just somewhere in that ballpark. Well, when it was running great, it would do that. And then it decided, then when the next time you start it, it would do 3.5, 1.5, 2.5, and it just kept bouncing all over the place. And that's where we ultimately ended up putting a computer in it. And then just, it still wasn't being quite perfect, so we ended up doing another temp sensor. and there's still a little hiccup in it when it transitions from the cold start cycle to the to normal run, and just right when it's, the engine's like 100 degrees and it's not quite warm enough to run real beautifully. But as soon as it warms up, it's fine. So we got cold idle good, we got warm idle good drivability pretty well all around, with one little hiccup in the warm-up cycle. So as I'm going to go pick up the owner, and because it's just inconvenient for him to come out here and get the thing, and show him exactly where the hiccup is, and then he can, because unfortunately the hiccup is just about as long as it takes him to get to where he has to go to work. So he might need to change his route to extend the time by a minute, and then it'll be fine to drive. But yep, that's about it for this one. Catch y'all on the next project.